Pooh had been walking the winding halls of the kingdom, with the checkered floors for days, an army of black and white tiles, stretching endlessly and aimlessly in all directions. At last, he had come across a chamber, a throne of curling black thorns and red petals standing empty. But even in its stillness, it felt alive. The throne pulsed, shifting ever so slightly, its form twisting like a dream constantly rewriting itself. Pooh looked around.
Oh, bother. I was rather expecting someone to be sitting there.
A voice slithered through the air, layered, timeless, both distant and impossibly close. Suddenly, she appeared on the throne, staring down Pooh as if she'd always been there.
Oh, how quaint. A little bear, soft and slow, stumbling through my halls like a lost child clutching at bedtime stories.
Pooh's honey blade intuitively unsheathed itself and blazed defensively in his hand. Her blue and white dress rippled as if undecided in its form, her crimson crown glistening atop golden curls that gleamed unnaturally in the dim light. Her eyes, red as burning embers, flickered as she looked down at him, and when she smiled, it was not kind.
Did you think yourself alone? Did you think you could simply walk in and ask your little questions, as if this place belonged to you?
She spread her arms, and the air itself seemed to tighten, the great banners above them writhing as if alive.
We are here as Azathoth commands it, the great Sultan of Chaos. We have always been here, and you, dear bear, have come uninvited.
She flicked a card forward, and it spun through the air before landing at Pooh's feet. The new Queen of Hearts.
I do seem to be rather lost. Not that I meant to be, of course. I was only walking, and walking sometimes turns into wandering, and...
He glanced at Alice, a little scared, watching her eye his honey blade, the same way the Cheshire cat did.
Would you happen to know the way out?
The throne shifted beneath her, as if refuting the very notion of escape.
Out? How absurd. There is no out, my dear. There is only the dream.
Pooh glanced down at his honey blade in deep contemplation.
Oh, well, I suppose that's one way of looking at it. But if you ask me, dreams are only dreams because they don't last. Otherwise, they'd be something else entirely, wouldn't they?
Alice let out a soft, lilting laugh, almost pitying.
Do they? And what happens, pray tell, to the dreams that refuse? If a dream stretches on and on, without waking, without end, does it not become real?
I don't think so. I once dreamed of a great big pot of honey, but when I woke up there was no honey at all, just an empty tummy. So no matter how real the honey seemed, it wasn't really there, was it?
Alice's fingers curled around the armrest.
And what if I don't want my story to end?
Pooh looked at her carefully, at the way the thorn branches wove around her person. Not like jewelry, but like shackles. And then he understood.
It's not your story that will end, Alice. It's your dream. And someone's making sure you never wake up.
A flicker of something crossed Alice's face. Uncertainty. The shadows behind the curtains trembled. Then her expression hardened, and the air around her grew heavy. She rose from the throne, her posture regal, her eyes burning brighter. Slowly, deliberately, she lifted her chin.
I am not some dreaming girl,
she declared, and her voice rang through the chamber, rich and unwavering.
I am every inch a queen, you marble-hearted fiend.
The cards in her hands burst into flames, dissolving into nothingness. The golden vines coiled around the throne like living things, and her red crown gleamed like a fresh wound.
I rule the labyrinth, and all who step inside become part of it.
I don't mean to be difficult, but I think I'd rather not be part of anything that won't let me leave.
A shadow flickered across her face, the briefest moment of hesitation. But then she lifted her chin, her expression hardening.
What? Don't. You understand? There is no out. There is only the dream. Only the dream. Only the dream. Only the fucking dream.
The honey blade, ever vigilant, intensified in defense again.
Oh dear, that wasn't a very friendly word, was it? I'm really going to have to teach you a lesson now.
Alice staggered, her fingers clutching at her crown as the air itself rippled. Glimpses of the Cheshire cat could be seen trying to acquiesce her. Pooh took a cautious step forward. She screamed. The room exploded with movement. Her red crown darkened, twisting into a tangled mass of writhing thorns. Her arms multiplied. 1 pair, then 2, then 4, each one unfurling from her back like the legs of a great spider. Her fingers lengthened, sharpened into talons. Her golden hair billowed upward as if caught in an unseen current, and her eyes, no longer human. Pooh gripped his honey blade a little tighter. Alice lunged. Pooh barely had time to react. He raised the honey blade just as the first set of claws came down. A blinding golden light erupted from the weapon, stopping Alice's attack mid-air. The honey within the blade bubbled furiously, rippling outward as a voice, deep, unearthly, and knowing, spoke from within. And that, dear reader, is when I stepped in from afar. Wake, child of Wonderland. This throne is not yours. You are a prisoner of the cat, but you merely have to realize the dream for what it is. Wake up and join us. I can save your Wonderland, and you can join us in our library. Alice trembled, her eldritch form dissolving. Fresh tears rolled down her face as memories from her past and present collided.
I've had such a curious dream,
Said Alice, and she told her sister, as well as she could remember them, all these strange adventures of hers that you have just been reading about. And when she had finished, her sister kissed her and said,
It was a curious dream, dear, certainly. But now run into your tea. It's getting late.
So Alice got up and ran off, thinking while she ran as well she might, what a wonderful dream it had been.